My name is Richard Wiese. I'm president of the Explorers Club. Thank you for coming. We're going to innovate a little here because one of our flag returns is still in the elevator, but we always say the mark of a really good explorer is being able to adapt to a changing environment, right? How many Explorer Club members do we have here? Quite a few here. Some of you may not be familiar with the Explorers Club, and I'll give you the really quick overview of it. It's an organization that was started in 1904, at that time by a bunch of guys trying to be the first to the North Pole. And if you walk into our historic building on the Upper East Side of Manhattan, you see a plaque there, and it's our famous first. Our members were the first to the North Pole, first to the South Pole, first on Everest, first to the bottom of the Mariana Trench, and first on the moon. I mean, we go the whole gamut. Jane Goodall was a member of the Explorers Club. One of the things that we pride ourselves, you see the Explorers Club flags on both sides of me, and most flags, when you think about it, define boundaries. They define a country, nationality, and we like to think that our flag does not define boundaries, that we go to establish new boundaries. And so the flag is awarded to people who go on expeditions, and it's something that you have to apply for the honor of carrying the flag. How many flag bearers have we had? I know we have a few here. Lori, right? See, here, and here, right. Anyhow, so today we have a ceremony that I've always considered, one of the best parts of the job. Typically, the vice president of Flag and Honors accepts a flag coming back from an expedition or gives one going. So our vice president is not here. So to me, this is one of the greatest honors I can do as the president of the organization, is to accept a flag back from an expedition. For a lot of reasons. Not all flags do make it back, and for some obvious reasons that sometimes these expeditions go places that are highly dangerous and situations occur. We have 700 flags. Each one of the flags has a history to it, where it's been. One of my favorite flags at the Explorers Club, and it's a slightly different design, but when Harrison Ford looked at that flag on the wall, he knew who that character was. It was a guy named Roy Chapman Andrews, and he was famous for his fedora and a whip he had on his expeditions, and Indiana Jones was modeled after that person. And just one more quick flag story. Just right before COVID, Neil Armstrong's son, Mark, came back to the club to give us the flag that his father carried on the moon. And one of the things that you really enjoy about the community of explorers is the story between the story. And I said, Mark, when you first saw your father come back from the moon, he was in that quarantine thing. What did he say to you? You're waiting for some historic nugget, and he goes, "You boys been mowing the lawn?" And so, that's what I've enjoyed about our community. Okay, I'm thinking that Fabian Schultz is back up the elevator, and I can say this being half German, Fabian, if you're in the audience. Germans are usually on time. So I'm gonna have to look at your DNA test a little later. Anyhow, I'd like to welcome the return of a flag and explorer, Fabian Schultz. So Fabian. How are you?
I'm good, fine.
Do you have a microphone on?
Not yet, yeah.
Not yet? Okay, here we go. I told you we're innovating a little here. Fabian, where was this flag? What was the expedition?
So this flag has been in Kenya just last week. We've had a 1-month expedition to Mount Elgon, which is on the far west of Kenya, bordering Uganda. And what we did, we were climbing up the mountains, and a couple of years ago, we've discovered with our collaborators that there's a lot of caves. So caves that were previously not known to science. And in these caves, elephants are going into the caves, and they are mining for salt with their tusks, and they're eating some of the clay. So that's what we thought this may be of interest, because my group and my colleagues, we work in zoopharmacognosy, which is the science of animal safe medication and the pharmacological investigation of their drugs. And what we've done is we were talking to the local people there, to the local communities, and asked them do you think that those elephants are actually taking medicine? And there was a lot of feedback. We did a survey among these communities, and we discovered or recorded 35 different plant species outside the caves in these remote areas that are used not just by the elephants, but also by the humans. And what was really exciting was that the humans actually say they learn from the elephants, and they know what kind of plants to take when the season is, by just following the tracks of the elephants, by watching them and basically mimicking them. And now on this expedition, we spent some time there with my students and also many local Kenyans and collaborators, and we collected most of these plants, these 35 plants, for lab analysis. So we're taking them back home to Germany. We're also working in the laboratory in Kenya, in Nairobi. And yeah, we are excited to bring the flag back. It's an honor as always. So thank you, Richard.
Fabian, on behalf of not just this audience or the 4,000 people in our club, but this flag represents not only excellence, but the best in humankind. So thank you very much for taking this flag. And here, let's get a photo of you with just the flag. Here, you want to hold it? Okay.
And looking here. Thank you. Lovely. Thank you.
Okay, I'm going to entrust this with one of our directors, Paul Tangy, to hold on to. Thank you, Paul.
Thank you, Richard.
Okay. Right? So, equally as exciting as receiving a flag back is sending one off, because it has a lot of hope. And I've mentioned that we had numbered several hundred flags, and there are a considerable amount of flags that don't come back, and not only because people get killed, but sometimes people just keep them. And Bob Ballard, I know you have one in your office. I know he has one in his office. If I ever get in there, I'm going to get that flag back. But anyhow, I'd like to introduce Mark Hannaford. Where's Mark? Mark goes on the most remarkable humanitarian medical missions there are. Mark, before I hand you the flag, what is this flag going off on?
So this flag, many years ago, I did a journey walking and trekking down the spine of Jordan. I got to a cave in Wadi Rum and looked outwards towards the Saudi border and realized that the Nabateans, the builders of Petra, would have undoubtedly, this was their motorway, but the border was closed. Some friends of mine did a camel trek last year, and I don't know why I didn't realize this before. They took camels across the border from Saudi to Jordan. I said, the border's open. I can complete that journey. I did that journey with a Bedouin guide and a pickup truck that delivered water and supplies. That's how I intended to do this journey, but it's taken on a bit of a life of its own, and it now includes astronauts walking with us, microbiologists, archaeologists, historians. It's got slightly bigger than I expected, and I need more than one Bedouin guide, and I need more than one pickup truck. So it starts the end of September next year, the whole of October, and the first week of November, walking from Dana Biosphere in northern Jordan, down through Petra, across the Saudi border to the Red Sea Biosphere, and then into Alula and finishing in Alula, the kind of southern capital of the Nabatean kingdom.
Yeah, and I just want to throw another shout out for Mark, because Mark, as a physician, as a doctor, goes on medical missions to war-torn area. Just this week, you came back from the Ukraine, and I just want to say that there's people always talk about how selfish humans can be, and it's great to have examples of selfless acts by people who are trying to make the world a better place and trying to shed a little happiness or light on others. So I want to thank you for that. And we're going to be sending you off with a flag that has not gone on an expedition. And for all of you who've taken flags, it has this whole great lineage that goes to different places. And when you get a flag and you see the number and you read about the previous expeditions, there's a great deal of pride. So I think that many of us will have a lot of pride to see where that flag goes next. So we're going to be sending you off. Hold on, let me take it off the wall. I haven't done this. I hope it does come off the wall. Otherwise, here we go. So Mark, on, again, behalf of the Explorers Club and really humanity. This is Flag 244 going on its first mission, and I'd really like to thank you for it. And he's an EC50 like Fabian, and our slogan is 50 people who are changing the world that the world needs to know about. And I think the world needs to know about you guys.